Hey guys, welcome to Rewind, Stop, Fast Forward. I'm Nick.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jared.
And today we are looking at Angel Has Fallen, the third in the trilogy from the Fallen series, I guess, starring Gerard Butler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I?
Yo.
Alright, so we've just been to the movies and we just watched Angel Has Fallen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, who wants to start us off with general thoughts?
I just
or
want
feelings?
to...
Actually, do we want to start with a general kind of overview of the story of this film? I think just to set it up. So it's the return of Gerard Butler as Mike Banning. He's the same role. He's first in line of security.
Secret Service.
Yeah.
For the president.
For the president.
Of the United States.
So this movie kind of revolves around him being betrayed and the entire system kind of flipping upside down and turning against him in that he is no longer a good guy fighting evil, but he is a good guy who is on the run from the FBI and the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Because they think that he attempted to assassinate the president.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the general premise, which I was actually pretty excited for.
Me too.
Because I was
I was kind of like lukewarm. I wasn't that excited to see the film personally, like myself.
I don't mean about the film specifically. I meant about like the
type of
the story.
Yeah, but then
thought,
like considering the franchise that it's tied to, it still didn't kind of get me that excited.
I mean, I was going in with an open mind, Jordan.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I was hoping that we were going to see something in the vein of Jason Bourne-esque. Not like, I don't need like, it's definitely not going to be the same quality movie or anything like that. But, yeah. But I just thought like, you know, he's a secret agent or like a Secret Service guy who knows the tricks of the trade on the run from the FBI. Like, I was expecting the kind of espionage level to be kind of heightened and for him to be like, all right, I can, you know, strategically stay away and evade the authorities.
Yeah, and like no sort of like loopholes in like the way that they operate if they were trying to find it and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we didn't really get.
Yeah.
In the entire film.
I wouldn't necessarily like it more to being a Jason Bourne. I'd actually like it to be more like it was taking kind of cues from The Fugitive. That's what I kind of got more so from it. And from that perspective, I think it also really failed in my eyes because when I look at the story and the way it plays out, I mean, from the get-go, I would say that the villains are incredibly predictable. And
absolutely. As soon as he walked on screen, I was like, that's the bad guy. And I was right,
I picked him very early on. Yeah. And as the way, like, when you look at how The Fugitive plays out, it's entirely like Richard Kimball, Harrison Ford's character, having to try work out who's framed him pretty much, right? And like that's what encompasses the entire story. But here, instead of taking that route, they just kind of reveal the bad guys fairly early on, and therefore the rest of the story just has no impact. And like everything just feels like it's just playing out rather than you actually, you got Gerard Butler's character Mike Banning trying to work out what's going on. It's just like instantly he's like, okay, I know who's framed me. So it's just like, oh, okay, so we're just along for the ride, I suppose. And it's just not exciting because of it.
Yeah, there was no real like sort of twist at all. Like I was expecting sort of like a reveal at the end, like, oh, it was, someone within the Secret Service, like it was Lance Reddick's character or something like that. And it was kind of just revealed to the audience pretty much like almost straight away. Yeah. And with that, the whole like element of like, oh, who betrayed him? How's he going to prove his innocence and stuff just kind of like fizzled into nothing.
Well, I think what they tried to do, and correct me if you think that I'm wrong, but they tried to... I think that they knew that the way that the story was structured, they weren't going to be able to effectively pull off like a suspenseful kind of like whodunit type of thing. Yeah. So instead, they spent arguably not enough time, but probably 20 minutes trying to build this camaraderie between the main character and the villain, so that there was that kind of not shock value, but like, you know, you kind of felt the weight of their relationship and the toll that this has on Mike Banning, which also didn't work. But I don't think that they were trying to necessarily create like a whodunit film or like an
not
espionage.
specifically, but like if they were going along the route of that, what they should have done again is, if they're going to do it in the vein of something, I'm not saying you have to do exactly beat for beat what that movie does, but you either go all in, or if you realize that it's not going to work, then you find a different kind of template for the story. Because how they chose to do it, they're like leaning half into doing, as I said, kind of a fugitive type story, but because like they haven't got the framework to make it naturally work, that element of the story doesn't pay off. And then the element of the story, which is the whole villains and like that whole relationship, again, as you said, that also falls flat. So there's just nothing that works in this film. Like,
so the villain of this film, if he was in a previous movie and you had more time to kind of experience their relationship and how they kind of grew up in the military together, I feel like you don't need all of that suspense.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily agree that they needed to like fully invest in like an ambiguous villain who we didn't realize until Gerard Butler realized, and it was like that was the aim of the movie, which obviously
I'm not saying that they needed to have done it. I'm just saying they needed to like decide what was going to work for them.
Well, I think that they did decide what they wanted to do, but they obviously emphasized the action over building a strong base for a story.
Yeah.
Which is the problem here.
And the problem as well is when you've got a film that's this action heavy, you need to have someone who knows how to do it well. And because I don't think like the action in this film in particular was, by the end of it, was just kind of mind-numbingly boring.
I actually thought the editing was bad. So there was a couple of moments that I was like...
The only thing that worked for me in terms of the action was actually the sound effects. Like the sound effects specifically of the guns and the cars like smashing and the explosions. That stuff was all top notch. The camera work was all over the place, and the editing, as you said, was all over the place.
There was a lot of close-up shots.
That's my problem with this film, actually. I don't know if you noticed, but like majority of the film was intense close-ups on people's faces. There was shots that would be constantly fading from a out of perspective shot to an in perspective shot.
But that's why I kind of likened it to the Bourne trilogy, because
it's like Paul Greengrass's style of shooting.
Yeah, like very kind of messy camera work, but obviously the editing doesn't work because...
Yeah, but the camera work doesn't work either. Like, I don't think... Because there was a shot where I'm pretty sure Mike Banning was escaping from a vehicle in the film. And there was like a solid minute of action within that, and it was so darkly lit, so poorly edited. Like, the camera shots themselves were shocking. That I was like, what is going on right now? Like, I had no idea what I was watching.
I think that has the potential to, maybe not like in a gunfight, but especially hand-to-hand combat, I think that it has the potential to work. I wouldn't necessarily outrightly say that the camera work was bad, but I do agree that the editing it didn't do the film any favors.
On that as well, I must say there was a couple of scenes throughout the film that were CGI, and it was horrible CGI.
I don't know if you noticed.
There was like a helicopter landing on top of a building, and it was fully CGI. And like there was a scene that was like the camera was inside the helicopter, and it was like filming a character running towards the helicopter, and you could tell that like I don't even know what aspect of it was CGI, but it just looked so fake. And also there's another scene where a building kind of explodes and like falls down, and I don't think I've ever seen that bad CGI in
relation to like how good the technology can be.
It was in the last 10 years. It was horrible because Jordan and I literally looked at each other in the cinema and started laughing. It was that was horrible. Which is strange because the sound effects I felt was one of the really strong thing in the film, because as you said, the guns and like the explosions and like
it sells you enough on the action.
Was fantastic.
Like I said, I didn't think the action was that bad. Like
I have to agree.
I think that like it's a product, and it's what's happened with action films for a long time. Like that's what you saw with the Taken films. Like Paul Greengrass really started the movement of shaky cam, like what he did in that film, because it works stylistically for the Bourne films.
Yeah.
But then Paul Greengrass is actually a good director and he knows how to utilize it.
Yeah.
But then like directors start getting to a point where they utilize it because it's an easy way to shoot
hide,
action,
yeah.
and hide choreography basically.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I agree. I don't see it working very well in gunfights when
Yeah.
like there's distance and you need to kind of convey, especially like positioning in relation to a scene when two characters are fighting each other at a distance. And there were times that I was completely lost. I was like spun around a little bit and I was like, oh, I feel like he's running into battle when he's actually like leaving battle.
Yeah.
And that threw me a little bit, I will be honest.
There was a couple of times where like there was a gunfight where the president, like all of his bodyguards were in a black car, and then like the villain and all of his like military evil guys were in a black car as well, and like they were wearing almost the exact same outfits, except the police had like police on them, and then they were like in 90% of the shots you could barely even see the police like logo on them, and there were so many times where I was like, wait, is that like a Secret Service guy that just got shot, or is that like an evil guy that just got shot? I was like, what is going on here?
I think because I reckon if I was like 95% of this film, I reckon if you were to look at each shot individually, they would last for a maximum 5 seconds per shot, right? They really needed to let this, like certain times, just let the film kind of breathe and just give it sort of moments. Like even towards the end, there's a shot where it's like it's almost setting up to be like a Western duel, like the way they quickly frame it, but it's like 2 seconds. It's like, oh, okay, they're going to do it as like a Western type of thing, and then just like go straight into
I don't think
the generic action beats.
Like,
because they both had the guns and like
they probably needed to cut out a choreographed action sequence and just like maybe give a little bit of every other section of the film just a couple of extra minutes to chill the fuck out a little bit.
But but like I said, because it's so frantically cut together, like as I said, you need just some.
I could honestly
sort of
forgive most of that if they had just invested a little bit more time at the big. I don't care if the first half of the film doesn't have a single action sequence, as long as you do your job setting up the foundation of the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which means do more with the villain and the character, Mike Banning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like build that relationship.
I feel like
he went over for one dinner.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, they're best buds. They went to war together, and now he's the bad guy.
Yeah. I feel like that's not what the movie's about, though. You know, like even though we can sit here and say, oh, it would have been a much better movie if it was like this, and then they did it like this, and they spent half the movie like this. I feel like this falls under the same category as sort of like Hobbs and Shaw, as in it is made for audiences that want to go see people shoot the shit out of each other, you know? And like,
I would agree with that, but, and this is something I had a problem with in terms of London Has Fallen. So as we pointed out when we did our reviews on those films, to me, Olympus Has Fallen full on embraced that it was a super dumb 90s campy action film. That's what it set out to be. London Has Fallen almost started the transition where it was like a little bit of that kind of campy nature, but also try to do a bit more self-serious. And this film took the next step, which was it would decide just to be a serious action movie. And it falls apart because of it. So it doesn't, like, where you could almost excuse a film for being campy, this film, you know, wants you to take it seriously more so. And then therefore I can't really forgive it for making certain decisions. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I totally get that. But
because like Hobbs and Shaw 100% set itself up to be a stupid dumb film,
absolutely. The tone of this film was very serious, which is strange, as you said, like in contrast to the other two films. Which
is why I think Olympus is definitely kind of the best one to me. Is still of the group of them.
When I watched the trailer, I remember, okay, maybe this is just the way they're doing the trailer. They're making it very serious, but I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but like his father's in the film as well.
I think they do.
They show that in the trailer, and I honestly expected some sort of like, you know, quite a lot of banter and like humor between them, but there was like none at all.
The dialogue setting that up, that's another thing that I dislike. It treats the audience like they are so dumb. yeah, I don't want to give anything specifically away
Yeah.
because of spoilers, but specifically the dialogue around his father when like they first run into each other, and he has to be like, you know, like he has to end the sentence with "Dad."
Yeah, I
and
know,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
It stands out.
please don't do that.
Yeah, that was. I remember seeing that in the trailer, and I thought, I really hope that's not in the film.
Like I think the audience could pick up pretty quickly on that it's his
They're
dad.
chasing me, Daddy. Help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
But
fun.
like, if they'd added like a good dynamic between them, like a bit of humor, a little bit of banter, like yeah, sure, they had their differences in the past. His dad was an asshole,
But there needs to be
or something
like
that. But bring in some sort of humor. Like
The thing is,
I mean, there was one scene, sort of like when his dad's blowing everything up. That wasn't too bad because he.
But that's what the
'cause
film
Gerard
should
Butler's
have
just
been.
kind of like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on here? And like, I actually had a laugh at that
Yeah.
because you know
but that's
it
the
was fun.
tone the film needed to have gone
Yeah,
for. I
absolutely.
feel like because that was the only time, and that was Nick Nolte was the only character that like embraced that goofy, campy nature
Right.
that like the films had previously. Because he was just having fun with his role, and he legit.
Well, you could argue though that Gerard Butler, I mean, like he wasn't given it any leeway within the script to
No.
make it fun and campy. Like he's just doing what he has to do. All right, so let's give general final thoughts. And would you recommend this movie to somebody paying
yeah.
what $12 to $15 to go see it in a movie theater?
I would say no.
Take a pass
would,
on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would pass on it. I mean, I actually did enjoy the first two films.
Yeah.
But this one was just,
Yeah.
it just felt like it did not fit into the other two films at all. And the only thing that was connecting the two films was literally Morgan Freeman and Gerard Butler's characters, and that's it. Like there was nothing else from the other films.
Yeah.
Like not even a mention. Like I know
Yeah.
there was a couple of times where he mentioned he was getting like he had trouble sleeping and he had like back problems and stuff, and not even from I took a fall in London or something.
Yeah.
Nothing like that at all, which really frustrated me. But yeah, I'd pass on this one and go watch one of the other ones.
Yeah, yeah. Look, altogether, if this ends up being the last movie and it's a trilogy, it's not the best action trilogy out there.
It's not the
by
worst,
any
though.
stretch. I know. All in all, like if you wanted to watch it as a complete package, while this third one is not fantastic, it's got enough in it that like it doesn't make the trilogy like a complete disappointment to watch, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. That being said, wait for it to come out on Netflix or Stan or on television. It's probably not worth your money to go see it in a theater. That would be my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll reiterate by saying that I would wait 100% to watch it either on a streaming service or until it is available to, rent. But overall, yeah, it was a huge disappointment for me, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that for me, the movie definitely moved itself into kind of a serious action tone, so to speak, and therefore the film just kind of felt very boring. A lot of the choices made from the director was just frustrating to me. Like a lot of the action was just kind of poorly shot, like in terms of the camera work. And I thought even because of that serious nature and because you require from that kind of story to have a bit more emotional weight attached to it, none of that worked whatsoever in this film, whether it's the relationship between the main protagonist and the main villain, or whether you're talking about like the relationship between Mike Banning and his wife. None of that works in the film, and I think that it just falls very flat for me.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a
Agreed.
film I would recommend to go see in the film,
Yeah.
like in the theaters.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. All right, well, that was our thoughts on Angel Has Fallen. Looking forward, probably going to be doing the Dark Crystal, a little rewind segment on the Dark Crystal next.
Yep.
In preparation for the new series.
Yeah, there's a new series in that universe coming out on Netflix in 1 week or 2 weeks.
I think it's on the 30th of
30th.
August.
So we are keen for that. So we're kind of just going to brush up on the Dark Crystal in the next video.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe if that's something you feel like doing. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks very
Thanks.
much, guys.
Cheers.